A 9-year-old girl was taking a shortcut through the snow with her German shepherd when the dog suddenly stopped. Thor sniffed the air, then pulled her toward a dark alley. What the girl, Leah, saw there froze the blood in her veins. 2 FBI agents lay bound on the ground, their lips purple, their breathing nearly gone, poisoned, left for dead. She ran to her reclusive neighbor, a 64-year-old man who had given up on everything after losing his son, a police officer. And together, they began a race against time that no one expected them to survive. The scrape of the shovel was the only sound to cut through the morning silence. Miguel pushed the snow aside, his eyes fixed on the ground. The cold bit at his hands, but he didn't stop. The street was empty, as always. "Mr. Miguel!" The voice sliced through the frozen air. He turned his head slowly. Leah was at his fence, holding a blue lunch container in both hands. Steam rose from the plastic. "Grandma sent this," she said. "It's stew, still hot." Miguel let the shovel fall. His shoulders slumped slightly. "You don't have to do that, kid." "She said you didn't eat yesterday." He didn't answer. The German shepherd at Leah's side stood with his ears tensed. The dog watched everything, motionless. A scar on his front paw shone in the weak sun. "Thor wants to say hi too," Leah said. Miguel walked to the fence. He took the container with a short nod. The girl smiled, but he didn't smile back. "Thank you." "Are you going to the corner store today?" "Don't know." "I know a shortcut," she said. "Through the side street. It's faster." Miguel glanced at the empty road. The memory of his son arrived like the endless snow. The blue uniform. The last phone call. The distant siren that never came back. "Maybe," he said. Leah tilted her head. "My grandma says being alone is bad for you." Miguel felt a tightness in his chest. He turned his back and walked toward his door. The girl stayed where she was, waiting. Thor rose to his feet, alert. "Mr. Miguel?" He stopped but didn't look back. "If you change your mind, we'll be here until noon." The door closed slowly. Inside, Miguel leaned against the wall and shut his eyes. The silence was heavier than the snow outside. The warm container burned his palms. 40 minutes later, Miguel stepped out of the house. Leah was sitting on the low fence wall. Thor lay beside her, but his head shot up when he heard the door. "I only came for the company," Miguel said. "I know," Leah replied. They walked along the main street. The snow was piled high on the sidewalks. Thor trotted ahead, pulling the leash with controlled strength. Leah chattered about school. Miguel listened, saying little. "There," the girl said, pointing. "The shortcut." The side street was narrower, walled in by the backs of houses. Wind funneled through the mouth of an alley up ahead. Suddenly, Thor stopped. He lifted his muzzle, sniffing the air. "He's acting strange," Leah said. Miguel watched the dog. His ears were taut. His body had gone rigid. "Thor?" The German shepherd yanked the leash. It wasn't a normal pull. It was urgent. "Wait!" Leah cried. "Thor, easy!" But the dog didn't wait. He lunged toward the alley, the leash straining in the girl's hand. "Mr. Miguel, he never does this." Miguel felt something clench in his gut. It wasn't fear. It was recognition. As if his body remembered something his mind had tried to forget. His son had a German shepherd, too. His son used to follow leads. "Let's see," he said. Leah looked at him, her eyes wide. "Are you sure?" "Let's go." They turned down the side street. The wind picked up. A metallic clatter echoed from somewhere far off. Thor stopped again, his head turning. Something in the sound bothered him, but the scent was stronger. In there, Leah whispered. The alley entrance was dusted with fresh snow, but beneath it were the clear marks of tire tracks. Thor leaned low, his nose nearly touching the ice, and began to move slowly, following a trail only he could see. Miguel took a deep breath. The frigid air burned his lungs. "Stay behind me," he said. Leah obeyed, her fingers clutching his coat. Thor moved to the corner of the alley and froze, his body locked in place. The tension traveled up the leash. Miguel took the first step into the darkness. Leah held a small flashlight with both hands. "There," she said, her voice a hushed whisper. Two figures lay on the ground. They wore dark coats with yellow letters on the back. FBI. Their hands were bound behind them with thick rope. Their legs were tied, too. Miguel knelt. He felt for a pulse on the first man's wrist. The skin was ice cold, but a pulse fluttered back. Faint. Erratic. "They're alive," he said. Leah brought the flashlight closer. The beam illuminated their faces. Purple lips. Closed eyes. Breath coming in short, shallow gasps. "What happened to them?" she asked. "I don't know." A shattered radio lay nearby. Miguel picked it up. Nothing. Just a low crackle that died in the cold air. The second agent, a woman, opened her eyes a fraction. Her lips moved, forming a single whispered word. Antidote. Miguel leaned closer. "What?" "Antidote. Need." The woman coughed, a dry, rattling sound. Her head fell to the side. Her eyes closed again. Leah gasped. "Mr. Miguel, were they poisoned?" He didn't answer. He looked at the wet ropes, the fresh tire tracks. Someone had done this. Someone had left them here to die. Thor was sniffing the ground nearby. He stopped at a dark patch in the snow, nudged it with his nose, and recoiled. "We have to call someone," Leah said. Miguel pulled out his phone. No signal. He tried again. Nothing. "The snowstorm," he said. "Must have knocked out the tower." Leah stared at him, her eyes wide with fear. "What do we do now?" Miguel looked at the agents and saw his son on his last day. The blue uniform, the smile before he left, the promise to come back. He never did. "We act," Miguel said. Thor began to pull again, not deeper into the alley, but away from it, toward the docks. Miguel tried his phone 3 more times. The screen showed 0 bars. He put it away and looked at Leah. "We can't wait for the police. They won't get here in time." Leah bit her lip. Thor kept pulling, glancing back at Miguel, then toward the docks. "He knows something," Leah said. Miguel knelt beside the agents. He loosened their bonds just enough to restore circulation. He took off his own heavy coat and draped it over the man. Leah did the same for the woman. "They'll freeze," she said. "Not if we're fast." Miguel took the flashlight. Thor was already 10 paces ahead, his nose to the ground. "What are you looking for, boy?" Miguel asked. The dog stopped, looked back at him, then resumed his pace, following the invisible trail. A trail his son would have followed. A trail his son had trusted. "Mr. Miguel?" He blinked, shaking the memory away. He looked at the girl. Come on. The wind howled as they left the alley, whipping snow over the tracks. Thor picked up speed, heading toward the river. The docks? Miguel asked aloud. A distant engine roared to life on the other side of the neighborhood, then fell silent. Thor stopped, his head cocked, ears twitching. Something in the air had changed. What was that? Leah whispered. Miguel didn't know, but he felt it. Danger was closer than they thought. They ran back to the alley. The agents were still there, their pulses weaker now. Miguel found an old tarp caught on a fence, tore it free and spread it over them. The female agent's eyes flickered open. She looked at Miguel. Warehouse, she rasped. Raleigh. The name was faint, almost lost in the wind, but Miguel heard it. Leah did too. Who's Raleigh? She asked. The name felt heavy, dangerous. The agent coughed, a smear of blood on her lips, and her eyes closed. She's getting worse, Leah said. Miguel looked at Thor. The dog stood at the mouth of the alley, watching, ready. You stay here, Miguel told Leah. Alone? I have to follow Thor. He's on to something. But what if someone comes back? Miguel handed her his phone. If you get a signal, call for help. 2 FBI agents poisoned. Got it? Leah took it with a trembling hand. And if I can't? I'll be back soon. He touched her shoulder. You're brave. I'm scared. Everyone is. But you're still here. She looked from the agents to him. Come back soon. I promise. He left the alley with Thor leading the way. The dog was relentless, his path certain. They reached the docks. An old iron bridge loomed against the gray sky. Miguel breathed deep, the memory of his son returning, sharp and painful. The last conversation, the words left unsaid. Not again, he thought. Not this time. Thor stopped before a low-slung warehouse. The door was ajar. The smell of rust and chemicals drifted out. Miguel pushed it open. Inside it was dark. He clicked on the flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. Stacked crates, toppled shelves, a floor stained with oil and melted snow. Thor moved quietly, sniffing the air. He turned left and stopped beside a fallen box. It was open. Inside were shattered vials with medical labels. Miguel picked one up. Controlled substance, restricted use. Torn instructions lay beside it. Technical terms, something about an antidote and dosage. Thor was scratching at another box. Miguel aimed the light. More vials, some empty, some filled with a clear liquid. Is this it? He asked. The dog looked at him, then returned to his search. An engine rumbled outside. Close. Miguel snapped the flashlight off. He and Thor stood frozen in the darkness. A car door slammed. Footsteps crunched in the snow. Check it carefully, a man's voice said. Leave nothing behind. Miguel backed away, scanning for an exit. A high window in the back wall. Narrow, but possible. The footsteps entered the warehouse. A flashlight beam swept across the far wall. Over here, a second voice called. The boxes are open. Miguel scrambled onto a shelf, reaching for the window. He pushed. It was stuck. He pushed again. The wood groaned. What was that? The first voice demanded. Miguel threw his weight against the frame. With a sharp crack, the window gave way. He shoved Thor through, then pulled himself up and over, dropping into the snow on the other side. Thor was already on his feet, waiting. The beam of a flashlight filled the empty window frame. Someone was here! Miguel didn't wait. He and Thor ran, their hearts pounding, their breath burning in their chests. The engine started again behind them. They were being followed. He burst back into the alley, gasping for air. Leah was still crouched beside the agents. She looked up. Did you get it? He held up the vials he'd managed to grab. Is it the antidote? She asked. I don't know. Something's missing. He read the torn instructions. He was missing a critical component, an ampule described as essential. It won't work without it, he said. What now? Thor was restless, circling the alley, sniffing the ground. He stopped at a fallen wooden pallet and began to scratch at the space beneath it. Thor, get away from there, Leah said. But the dog persisted. Miguel knelt, shining the light under the pallet. Something glinted. Glass. He reached under, his fingers stretching until they brushed against a small, cold vial. He pulled it out carefully. It was intact, filled with a clear liquid. The label matched the instructions. I found it, he said. Leah broke into a smile, the first one he'd seen since they entered the alley. Can you save them? Miguel looked at the agents. Their breathing was dangerously faint. There was no time for doubt. I'm going to try. He followed the instructions, preparing the syringe. His hands trembled slightly, but he didn't stop. Hold the flashlight, he told Leah. She did, and the beam of light held steady. Miguel found the vein. He administered the dose. Then he waited. His heart hammered in his chest. The agent took a deep breath. She coughed. Her eyes fluttered open, fixing on Miguel. Who? She began. Quiet, Miguel said. You've been poisoned. She blinked, trying to sit up. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Easy. Leah moved the flashlight closer, illuminating the agent's face. Thor lay down beside her, watchful. The agent glanced at the dog, then back at Miguel. Did you save us? Not yet, Miguel replied. Your partner is worse. He prepared another dose and administered it to the second agent. Again, he waited. The seconds stretched on, heavy as hours. The man coughed, his eyes opening. He drew a deeper breath. Leah let out the air she'd been holding. It had worked. Miguel leaned against the wall. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. The sound of engines returned, closer this time. Thor lifted his head, his ears tense. They weren't safe. The agent tried to stand. Miguel grabbed her arm. You're not strong enough yet. I have to warn someone, she said. There's no signal. Then we need to get out of here. Miguel looked at her partner. The man could barely stay seated. Leah kept the flashlight on. Thor paced the alley, restless. We don't have much time, Miguel said. What did you see in the warehouse? Boxes, vials, and two men searching for something, the agent said. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Hale sent them to clean up. We found his lab yesterday. Who's Hale? A local businessman. He finances smuggling. We had the proof. He got to us before we could send it. Miguel pulled out the flash drive he'd found in her coat. This? He asked. Her eyes widened. You found it? It was in the lining. She reached for it, her hand trembling. Miguel put it in his own pocket. I'll carry it, he said. It needs to get to the station. It will. Outside, an engine cut out. A car door slammed. Footsteps approached. "They're back," Leah whispered. Miguel scanned their surroundings. There was a narrow side exit leading to an abandoned warehouse across the way. "This way," he said. He helped the agent to her feet, while Leah supported her partner. Thor led, always in the lead. They slipped out through the side exit just as footsteps entered the alley. Voices echoed. "No one's here." They were. "Look at the tracks." Miguel pushed open the warehouse door. They hurried inside, closing it behind them. Total darkness, pierced only by the beam of Leah's flashlight. "We need a plan," the agent said. Miguel looked at Thor. The dog stood before them, a protector, his attention fixed on the door. "The plan is to make it to the hospital alive," Miguel said. "And how do we do that?" He didn't know, but he couldn't stop now. Not after managing to save them. The memory of his son returned, but it was different this time. It wasn't just guilt. It was courage. "We'll find a way," he said. Thor looked at him as if he understood, as if he agreed. Leah took Miguel's hand. "I trust you." He squeezed her hand, then looked at the agent and her partner. "Let's go." And they moved forward into the darkness. Together, with the dog leading the way, a newfound hope pushing the fear aside. The warehouse smelled of old oil and damp wood. Miguel guided the group between fallen beams as Leah's flashlight cut a path through the gloom. Thor stayed close to the agent, attentive to her every step. "What's your name?" Miguel asked her. "Anna Park. He's Agent Ramos." Miguel nodded. He helped Ramos sit on a wooden crate. The man was breathing better now, but still weak. "How long until the poison wears off?" Miguel asked. "It depends," Anna said. "A few hours, maybe more." "We don't have a few hours." "I know." Leah was at a broken window, peering outside. The snow continued to fall, blanketing the empty streets. "I don't see anyone," she said. "Yet," Anna replied. Miguel took the kit from his pocket and checked what was left. 2 ampules, some gauze, nothing more. "If they get worse again," he started. "There'll be nothing left," Anna finished. Silence. Thor lay down at Anna's feet, his muzzle resting on her boot. She looked down and touched the dog's head. "Is he yours?" she asked. "He's the girl's," Miguel said. "He saved us. We saved each other." Anna looked up, meeting Miguel's gaze. Something in his expression made her trust him. "Have you done this before?" she asked. "Done what?" "Saved people?" Miguel looked away. The answer was a weight in his throat. "I tried once. I failed. And today? Today isn't over yet." Ramos coughed, looking at Anna. "You need to contact the team," he rasped. "There's no signal." "Then we go to where there is." "You can barely walk." "I'll manage." Anna watched Miguel. He was warming his hands, rubbing his fingers together to keep the circulation going. "Do you have a family?" she asked. Miguel paused, closing his eyes for a second. "I had a son." "Where is he?" "He was a police officer, killed in the line of duty." The silence returned, heavier this time. Leah looked at Miguel, her eyes shining. "I'm sorry," Anna said. Miguel didn't answer. Thor lifted his head, his ears twitching. A distant sound. A low, steady engine. "They're coming back," Leah whispered. Miguel stood up. He looked toward the back of the building. There was an exit, but it led directly to the iron bridge. The bridge that Thor feared. Miguel helped Ramos to his feet. The man swayed, and Anna took his other arm. Leah gripped Thor's leash with both hands. "Where to?" Anna asked. "The bridge," Miguel said. "What bridge?" "The iron one, across the river. The hospital is on the other side." Anna looked through the window. In the distance she saw the metal structure, old, covered in snow and rust. "Will that thing even hold our weight?" she asked. "It'll have to." The engine grew closer, then stopped right in front of the warehouse. A door opened. Footsteps crunched in the snow. "Go," Miguel ordered. They fled through the back door. The wind hit their faces. Thor hesitated, his body tensing as he stared at the bridge. "Thor, come on," Leah urged. The dog didn't move, his eyes fixed on the metal frame, the rust, the sound the wind made as it whistled through the cables. "What's wrong with him?" Anna asked. "He's afraid," Leah said. "He hates the sound of metal." Miguel crouched down to the dog's level, extending a hand. "I know you're scared, boy, but we have to cross." Thor looked from Miguel to the bridge, then back again. "Trust me," Miguel said. The dog took a breath, then a step, then another. Slow, but moving forward. "Good boy," Miguel said. They started across. The bridge groaned, the metal moaning under their weight. Thor flinched at every louder sound, but he kept going. Leah held his leash tight. Anna and Ramos followed, slow and careful. "Don't look down," Anna told Ramos. But he already had. The river was a frozen expanse far below. Halfway across, a cable snapped. The sound cracked like a gunshot. Thor froze, his legs trembling. Miguel touched his neck. "Keep going. We're almost there." The dog squeezed his eyes shut and took another step, and another. They reached the other side. Thor scrambled the last few feet and stood in the snow, panting and shaking. Leah knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his furry neck. "You did it," she whispered. Miguel looked back and saw figures in the warehouse, then the sweep of headlights. "They've seen us," Ramos said. "Then run," Anna replied. But before they could, something fell from Anna's coat, a small object glinting in the snow. Miguel bent down. It was another flash drive. "You had two?" he asked. Anna looked confused. "No, just one." Miguel examined the object. There was dried blood on its side and a number etched into the casing. "This isn't mine," Anna said. "Then whose is it?" She didn't know, but the answer felt close and dangerous. They ran until they reached an abandoned building, an old factory. Miguel forced the door open. They all stumbled inside as he shut it behind them. The sound of their pursuers' footsteps echoed outside. "How many?" Ramos asked. "3, maybe 4, Miguel said. Anna leaned against a wall, her breathing heavy. The poison was still in her system. "I need to rest," she said. "Not here," Miguel answered. "Just a minute." Miguel looked at her. He saw the sweat on her face, the paleness of her skin, the tremor in her hand. "1 minute," he agreed. Leah sat on the floor, and Thor lay beside her. The girl ran a hand through the dog's fur, her fingers finding a scar. "How did he get this?" Anna asked. "I don't know," Leah said. "My grandma found him on the street. He already had it." "Was he a police dog?" "I think so." Sometimes he acts like he remembers. Anna looked at Thor, and the dog looked back. There was something in his eyes, a knowing, an experience. He's saved people before, Anna said. How do you know? Leah asked. The way he acts, the way he protects. Miguel was at a window, watching. Headlight beams cut through the falling snow, stopping, starting, searching. They're not giving up, he said. Because of the flash drive? Ramos asked. Because of what's on it. Anna took the second drive and looked at it closely. The engraved number was a sequence, like a code. This isn't ours, she said. This belongs to someone on the inside. Inside of what? Miguel asked. The operation. Someone on our team. Silence. The weight of the revelation fell on them all. There's a traitor, Ramos said. Was, Anna corrected. This drive has blood on it. Whoever it belonged to is dead. Miguel's chest tightened. This was worse than he'd thought. It wasn't just criminals. It was corruption. Betrayal. We have to turn this in, he said. To who? Anna asked. We don't know who to trust. Thor raised his head. A low, constant sound. An engine shutting off. They've stopped, Leah whispered. Miguel looked out the window. He saw 3 men get out of their cars. One was speaking into a radio while the others swept the area with flashlights. They're surrounding the place, Miguel said. Exits? Anna asked. Back door, but it opens onto the main street. Where they'll be waiting. Miguel looked around. He saw a ladder leading up to the roof. Up, he said. In this snow? Ramos asked. You have a better idea? Silence. No one did. They climbed slowly. Thor went first. The stairs groaned, the metal too cold to touch without gloves. They reached the roof. The wind hit them with full force and snow blanketed everything. The world was white, except for the distant glow of the hospital. There, Anna said. 2 kilometers. Might as well be 10 in this weather, Miguel replied. From below came the crash of a door being forced open. Footsteps started up the stairs. Thor looked at Miguel, then at the edge of the roof, then to the building next to it. An improvised bridge, a few old ice-covered planks, spanned the gap. Miguel saw what the dog was suggesting, and he didn't like it one bit. Miguel tested the first plank with his foot. The wood groaned, but didn't break. You can't be serious, Anna said. What's the other option? He shot back. Wait for them to get up here? Anna had no answer. Ramos was leaning against a chimney, barely able to stand. I'll go first, Miguel said. See if it holds. Then you follow. And if it doesn't? Leah asked. Miguel didn't answer. He took the first step onto the makeshift bridge. The wood swayed. He spread his weight and moved slowly. Thor followed, lighter and faster, scrambling past Miguel to the other side. The dog made it, Leah said. The dog weighs less, Anna countered. Miguel was in the middle when the wood cracked. He froze. He took a deep breath, redistributed his weight, and continued. He reached the other side and turned back. Come on. One at a time. Leah went next, light and quick, her feet barely seeming to touch the planks. She made it safely, and Thor licked her face. Anna helped Ramos to his feet. He staggered toward the bridge. I don't know if I can do this, he said. You can, she told him. Ramos took the first step. The wood moaned loudly. He stopped. "Keep moving," Miguel called. "Don't stop." Ramos pushed forward. Slow. So slow. In the middle of the crossing he stumbled. His knee hit the wood. One of the planks tore loose, tumbling end over end to the ground far below. "Ramos!" Ana screamed. He grabbed onto the remaining plank, pulling himself forward, scraping his way to the other side. Miguel hauled him onto the roof. "Are you okay?" he asked. Ramos didn't reply, just gasped for air, sweating despite the cold. Ana was last. She looked back, hearing the footsteps getting closer. She took a step, then another. She was halfway across when a voice shouted, "There! On the roof!" A spotlight flooded the building. Ana ran. The wood splintered under her feet. She leaped the last few feet. Miguel caught her. "Run!" he yelled. They raced across the second roof and down a fire escape, landing in a side alley. Thor led the way, always in the lead. The hospital was closer, but still too far. A gunshot echoed through the alley. The bullet slammed into the wall just above their heads. Chips of brick exploded from the wall beside them. "They're shooting!" Leah screamed. In an instant, Miguel was on top of her, shielding her with his own body as Thor erupted in a frenzy of barking. Ramos stumbled, his legs giving way, but Ana caught him, holding him steady. Another shot cracked through the air, closer this time. Miguel's eyes darted around, desperately seeking cover. He saw it. A small, ancient church, its heavy oak door slightly ajar. "There!" he yelled. They ran. The small group scrambled inside, slamming the heavy door behind them. Miguel fumbled with the iron bolt, ramming it home. Darkness enveloped them. Silence pressed in, broken only by their ragged, desperate breaths. Thor immediately took up a position at the door, his body rigid, ears swiveling to catch every sound. Outside, footsteps crunched on gravel, drawing nearer. They were trapped. The air in the church was thick with the scent of ancient wood and the ghost of 1,000 extinguished candles. As his eyes adjusted, Miguel could make out the shapes of broken pews, the spiderweb cracks in the stained glass windows, and an altar draped in a thick shroud of dust. "Is there another way out?" Ana whispered, her voice tight with fear. Miguel searched, his hands skimming the cold stone walls. He found a side door, but the handle wouldn't turn. Locked solid. "No," he said, his voice grim. "We're boxed in." Thor, however, was not still. He paced the dusty floor, his nose to the ground. He stopped at the foot of the altar and began to scratch insistently at the floorboards. Miguel moved toward him, clicking on his flashlight. The beam cut through the gloom, illuminating a small, dirt-caked trapdoor. "Here," he grunted, pulling at the tarnished metal ring. The door groaned in protest before swinging open, revealing a flight of dark, damp stairs leading down. "A cellar," Ana said. "It's better than waiting here." Leah, holding the flashlight, descended first. Thor was right on her heels, followed by Miguel. Ana carefully helped Ramos, whose descent was painfully slow, each step a monumental effort. At the bottom, they found themselves in a cramped cellar with a low ceiling, the air stale and musty. Old crates were stacked against the walls. "What is this place?" Leah asked, her voice a small echo in the confined space. "Storage," Miguel replied, his gaze sweeping the room. "For church supplies." Thor was already focused on a single crate, nudging it with his snout. He whined softly, then looked back at Miguel. "What is it, boy?" The dog pawed at the wood again. Miguel pried the lid open. Inside, nestled amongst old vestments and altar cloths, was something else. A small, locked metal box. "What's that?" Anna asked. Miguel picked it up and shook it. Something rattled inside, light and delicate, like glass. "I don't know, but it's locked." A deafening crash from above made them all jump. The church door shuddered in its frame, the sound of splintering wood echoing down into the cellar. Muffled shouts followed. "Break it down!" a voice commanded. Miguel looked at Ana, who was already looking at Ramos. The man was slumped against the wall, his head lolling, his eyes closed. "He's getting worse," she said. Miguel touched Ramos's forehead. It was burning. "Fever. The poison is still in his blood," Miguel said. "He needs a hospital." "I know." Thor had grown restless again, circling the cellar, sniffing at the walls. "What's he looking for?" Leah wondered aloud. The dog stopped at the far wall, scratching at the stone and pushing it with his nose. "Thor, get away from there," Leah said. But Miguel moved closer, shining his light on the spot. He saw a faint crack, wider than the others, running from floor to ceiling. He pushed. The wall gave way. It was a disguised door. "There's a passage," he said. Just then, the church door overhead burst open with a final, violent splintering of wood. Heavy boots stomped across the floor. Beams from powerful flashlights sliced through the darkness. "Down here! There's a trap door!" There was no more time. Miguel heaved the hidden door open and plunged into the darkness beyond. The others scrambled after him, Thor bringing up the rear. The passage was narrow, the ceiling even lower than in the cellar, and it smelled of damp earth and stagnant water. They moved as fast as they could, Leah's single flashlight beam bouncing ahead of them. Behind them, voices echoed from the cellar as their pursuers started down the stairs. The narrow passage suddenly opened into a much larger tunnel, its walls built from old, weeping stone. "Where are we?" Anna asked, her voice echoing. "Drainage tunnel," Miguel said, not breaking his stride. "From when the city was first built. It leads to the river, and on the other side to the hospital." A flicker of hope, small but real. It was cut short when Thor let out a low, warning growl. The beams of flashlights appeared at the entrance to the passage behind them. The race was on. The tunnel forked, splitting into three identical dark mouths. Miguel skidded to a halt. "Which way?" Anna panted. Thor sniffed the ground, darting into the left tunnel, then backtracking and trying the center path, clearly confused. "He's lost the scent," Miguel said, as the shouts behind them grew louder. "We have to choose," Anna urged. Miguel's gaze swept upwards, catching something on the stone archway of the right-hand tunnel. Faint, almost erased by time, but still visible. Carved arrows. "There," he said, pointing. "Are you sure?" "No, but it's better than standing still." They plunged into the right-hand tunnel. Ramos was lagging, his feet dragging. Anna fell back, looping her arm around him. "Come on, just a little further." Thor moved to Ramos's other side, pressing against him, offering his strong body as support. The man leaned on the dog and staggered onward. The tunnel began to slope downwards, and cold, sharp water rose around their ankles. Leah stumbled, falling with a splash. The flashlight flew from her hand, hit the stone floor, and went dark. "Leah!" Miguel shouted, pulling her to her feet. She was soaked and shivering. "I lost the light," she sobbed, her voice trembling. "It doesn't matter." Miguel stripped off his jacket and wrapped it around her. It wouldn't do much, but it was something. They pushed on in the suffocating darkness. Miguel keeping one hand on the wall to guide them, while Thor confidently led the way. I hear water, Anna said after a few minutes. A current. The river, Miguel confirmed. We're close. Hope bloomed in his chest again, but the sounds from behind were relentless. They were gaining. They're faster than we are, Anna said. We have Ramos, Miguel replied. They don't. The tunnel finally opened into a vast, circular chamber. Water cascaded from a large metal grate high in the ceiling, through which a sliver of weak gray light filtered down. Look, Leah pointed. A rusty iron ladder was bolted to the wall, leading up to the grate. Miguel scrambled up the first few rungs and pushed. The grate didn't budge. Is it locked? Anna called up. Jammed! He shoved with both arms, then threw his shoulder against it. The metal groaned, but held fast. Thor barked, a sharp, urgent alarm. The beams of their pursuers' flashlights flooded into the chamber from the tunnel entrance. There they are, a voice shouted. A gunshot rang out, the bullet ricocheting off the wall with a high-pitched whine. With a surge of pure adrenaline, Miguel gave the grate one last, desperate heave. The metal shrieked and buckled, popping open with a loud crack. Go, all of you, climb! Leah scrambled up the ladder, quick and agile. Thor followed, his claws scraping on the metal, but he made it. Anna guided Ramos, who could barely lift his feet. Miguel stayed below, pushing him up from behind. The men were halfway across the chamber now, another shot ringing out. As Ramos cleared the opening and Anna started up, a hand clamped around Miguel's ankle. He kicked back violently and the hand let go, but as he climbed another rung, it grabbed him again, stronger this time, pulling him down. Suddenly, a black shape filled the opening above. Thor launched himself back down into the chamber, sinking his teeth into the arm of the man holding Miguel. A raw scream echoed off the wet stone. The hand released its grip. Miguel scrambled up the last few feet. Thor, come! He yelled. The dog let go and leaped for the ladder, climbing just as another bullet zipped past. Miguel grabbed him by the scruff and hauled him through the opening. He slammed the heavy grate shut, and spotting a loose length of pipe nearby, jammed it through the bars, hoping it would hold. They were in a narrow alley, slick with rain and refuse. 100 yards away, the bright, welcoming sign of the hospital's emergency entrance glowed. Run! Anna screamed. They sprinted. Ramos stumbled and fell, but Miguel hauled him to his feet. They reached the entrance just as the grate behind them gave way with a screech of tortured metal. The automatic doors slid open, bathing them in warm light and the sterile scent of antiseptic. Help! Anna yelled to the white-coated figures inside. Federal agents! We need help! Poisoning! Nurses rushed forward with a gurney. Ramos was gently lifted onto it and wheeled away into the ordered chaos. Anna turned to Miguel, her chest heaving, her eyes wet with relief. You saved us, she breathed. We saved ourselves, he replied. A young security guard hurried over. What's going on? Call the police, Anna commanded, her voice regaining its authority. Right now. Miguel glanced back down the alley. He could see figures moving in the shadows, watching. They wouldn't follow them in here. Too many witnesses. But they were still out there. Waiting. Thor collapsed at Miguel's feet, panting. A slight limp in his front leg where an old scar had reopened and was bleeding onto the linoleum floor. Leah knelt beside him. Thor's hurt, she said quietly. A nurse approached and, with Leah's permission, gently examined the wound. It's not deep, she said, pressing a piece of gauze to it. but it needs to be cleaned and wrapped. She led Thor and a worried Leah to a side room. Miguel and Anna were left alone in the corridor. For a moment, there was only the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the distant murmur of the hospital. Anna leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. I really thought we weren't going to make it. She opened them again, her gaze intense. But we did, because of you and that dog. Miguel didn't answer. He stared out the window at the alley. The figures were gone, but he knew they weren't far. This isn't over, he said. I know. Anna pulled a small flash drive from her pocket, the one they had found in her jacket, stained with dried blood. I need to know what's on this. A few minutes later, she returned with a laptop borrowed from a nurse's station. She plugged in the drive. Files appeared on the screen. Photos, documents, spreadsheets. Her eyes widened as she read. My God, she whispered. What is it? She turned the screen toward him. It was a list of names, dates, and transactions. The name Victor Hale was there, but he was just one of many. There were police officers, politicians, judges. It's a network, Anna said, her voice trembling with the weight of the discovery. It's not just one man, it's the whole system. The weight settled on Miguel, too. This wasn't just a chase. It was a war against an enemy hidden in plain sight. What do we do? Anna's eyes were hard as steel. We burn it all to the ground. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Police cruisers, their blue and red lights slicing through the night, pulled up to the entrance. Anna went to meet them, returning with 3 officers, one a gray-haired captain with a serious, weathered face. Agent Park? He asked. Yes, Captain Sousa. Here's what happened. She told him everything. When she finished, he let out a long breath. The names on this drive. I need to know who I can trust, Captain. He looked from her to Miguel, then to Leah and Thor, who had just returned, the dog's paw now neatly bandaged. You can trust me, he said finally, and my team. No one else. Not yet. He promised them protection until they could process the information and make the arrests. You'll need protection too, Anna said to Miguel. They saw you. You're a witness. The thought hadn't occurred to him. He'd only been trying to do the right thing. Now, the right thing had a price. And the girl? Leah squeezed his hand. Thor moved to stand in front of her, a silent guardian. For how long? Miguel asked. Until we get them all. The captain put a hand on his shoulder. You did a good thing here, son. Miguel thought of his own son, of a blue uniform and a promise unkept. But tonight, he had saved lives. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it was a start. Ramos was stable. Anna was giving her statement. Miguel, Leah, and Thor were led to a quiet waiting room. For a brief, blissful moment, there was peace. Then the lights in the hospital flickered. Once. Twice. They died. Emergency generators kicked in a second later, casting the hallway in a weak, trembling, yellow light. What was that? Leah whispered. Miguel went to the window. The streetlights were out. The entire block was dark. Only the hospital glowed faintly. They cut the power. Thor lifted his head, a low growl rumbling in his chest. The night was not over. The dog's ears twitched. A low growl rumbled deep in his throat. A warning. Miguel glanced outside. He saw the movement instantly. Pickup trucks were pulling up at the street corners, blocking the exits. Men were getting out, waiting. "They're surrounding the hospital," he said, his voice flat. The door flew open. Anna rushed in, a uniformed police officer right behind her. "We need to go," she said, her breath catching in her throat. "Why?" Miguel asked. The captain got a call. Someone from up high, ordering him to release the suspects. "But the evidence. It doesn't matter. There are powerful people protecting Hale. We aren't safe here." Miguel's gaze fell on Leah. The little girl's eyes were wide with fear. Thor was on his feet now, his body tense, ready. "Where do we go?" Miguel asked. "I have a place," Anna said. "It's safe, but we have to leave right now." The officer peeked into the hallway and gave a sharp nod. "It's clear. Let's move." They slipped out of the room and hurried down a side corridor. Emergency lights cast a sickly, flickering glow, making their shadows dance like specters on the walls. "Which way?" Miguel whispered. "The garage. There's a patrol car waiting." They reached the stairwell and started down. Thor took the lead, pausing at each landing to sniff the air, to listen. On the second floor, he froze, his body rigid. "What is it?" Anna whispered. Thor let out a barely audible growl, his eyes fixed on the door to the floor. Something was on the other side. "Someone's there," Miguel said. "We go straight past," the officer ordered. They quickened their pace, moving past the door as Thor kept his gaze locked on it, his ears taut. When they reached the ground floor, the officer eased the door open and peered out. "Wait!" he hissed. Voices echoed from the main corridor. Footsteps were approaching. A lot of them. "They're inside," Anna breathed. Miguel frantically scanned their surroundings. A side door, marked maintenance. "In there," he said. They slipped inside, closing the door behind them. They were plunged into near-total darkness, the space pierced only by the faint, crimson glow of a distant emergency exit sign. "It's a storage room," Anna stammered. Shelves lined the walls, stacked with boxes and dust-sheeted equipment. The air was thick with the scent of chemicals and cold metal. Outside, the voices grew louder. The footsteps stopped right in front of their door. "Search every floor," a man's voice commanded. "They can't have gone far." "What about the civilians?" another voice asked. "They don't matter. Recover the flash drive. Eliminate the witnesses." A heavy silence fell inside the storage room. Leah gripped Miguel's hand, her small fingers trembling. Thor positioned himself between the door and the group, his paws planted firmly on the concrete, his head low, ready to spring. The officer drew his weapon. Anna did the same. Miguel had no gun. He had only his body and a burning resolve to protect the girl. The doorknob turned. The door held. It was locked from the inside. The knob stopped turning. "Locked," the voice said from outside. "Break it down." "Wait, let's check the other areas first." The footsteps receded. Miguel let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "We don't have much time," the officer said. "Is there another way out?" Anna asked. Miguel's eyes adjusted to the gloom. Against the far wall, he saw it. A large ventilation duct. "There," he said. "A vent?" Anna questioned. "It's all we have." The officer moved to it and tested the grate. It was loose. He pulled it off with his hands, revealing an opening just large enough for a person to squeeze through. "Where does it go?" he asked. "I don't know," Miguel admitted. "But it goes somewhere." Leah stared into the dark, cold, narrow opening. I'm scared of small places, she whispered. Miguel knelt to her level. I know, but Thor will be with you. He'll protect you. Leah looked at the dog. Thor met her gaze, his eyes steady, reassuring. Promise you'll be right behind me? She asked. I promise, Miguel said. Leah climbed into the duct and began to crawl. Thor followed, his large frame barely fitting, but he pushed through. Anna went next, then the officer. Miguel was last. The shaft was tight, dark, and cold. He scraped his elbows on the metal as he pulled himself forward, the sound echoing unnervingly. Quiet, Anna whispered from ahead. They moved slowly. The duct forked. Leah stopped. Which way? Thor sniffed both passages, then chose the left and continued. They followed. The shaft began to slope downward, growing even narrower. Miguel could feel the metal pressing in on him. The guilt returned, a crushing weight in his chest. His son had died because he wasn't there, because he hadn't protected him. And now, he was putting another child in danger. Another life hanging on his choices. Mr. Miguel? Leah called softly from up ahead. I'm here, he answered, his voice unsteady. Are you okay? No, he thought. He wasn't. But he couldn't say that. I am. Keep going. The duct opened up into a boiler room. The air was hot, humid, and filled with the roar of machinery. Where are we? The officer asked. Basement, Miguel guessed. Anna checked the door. It was locked from the other side. But there was a small, high window that looked out onto the street. There, she said. Miguel stacked crates, climbed up, and reached the window. It was jammed. He shoved, but it wouldn't budge. Thor suddenly started to growl, staring at the boiler room door. Someone's coming, Anna said. Miguel threw his shoulder against the window. The glass cracked, then shattered, tinkling onto the snow outside. Quick, he urged. He lifted Leah up and helped her through. She landed in the snow, scrambled to her feet, and waited. Thor leaped onto the crates, and with a push from Miguel, scrambled through to land beside her. Anna followed, then the officer. Miguel was the last one out. They were in a side alley. The snow was coming down heavily now, a thick white blanket muffling sounds and obscuring everything. The car's on the other side of the building, the officer said. Then let's go, Anna replied. They ran along the side of the hospital, staying in the shadows, avoiding the security cameras. A beam of light cut through the storm. It pinned them, bright and blinding. There! A voice shouted. An engine roared to life. A pickup truck sped towards them. Run! Miguel yelled, but Leah tripped, falling into a snowdrift. The headlights bore down on her. Thor spun around and planted himself in front of her, his body a shield between the girl and the vehicle. Miguel scooped her into his arms and ran. The truck skidded on the ice, slewing sideways to a halt, blocking their path. Men jumped out. They were surrounded. Miguel set Leah down, pushing her and Thor behind a large dumpster. Anna and the officer took positions in front of them. Drop your weapons, a voice commanded. There were 3 of them, dressed in dark coats, their faces covered. But Miguel recognized one from the warehouse. We're not dropping anything, Anna said. Then you die here. So do you, the officer retorted. An impasse. No one moved. Only the snow fell, silent and relentless. Only the wind howled. Thor's low growl was a constant threat in the cold air. Miguel touched his head, silencing him. not wanting to draw attention to where Leah was hidden. "Give us the flash drive," the man said, "and we'll let the girl go." "You know that's a lie," Anna shot back. "It's her only chance." Miguel's chest tightened. He looked at Leah. Her eyes were shining with fear, but also with trust. Trust in him. He couldn't fail, not again. "Is there another way out?" Miguel whispered to Anna. "Not that I can see," she replied quietly. Miguel scanned the alley. Behind them was an abandoned building. A side door stood ajar, old and rusted. "There?" he whispered. "It's blocked," Anna said. "We force it. They'll see us. Then we need a distraction." The officer understood. He took a step forward. "You want the flash drive? Come and get it." He threw a small object onto the ground. The men's eyes followed it. One of them took a step forward. "Now!" Miguel hissed. They sprinted for the door. Miguel put his shoulder into it. Anna helped. The rusted metal refused to yield. Gunshots erupted. Bullets slammed into the brick wall beside them, spraying chips of debris. "Harder!" Anna yelled. Thor joined them, slamming his body against the door. The metal groaned, then began to give. One of the men reached the officer. They grappled. The officer went down. His gun skittered across the icy ground. "No!" Anna cried. The door finally gave way with a screech of tortured metal. Miguel shoved Leah inside. Thor scrambled in after her. Then Anna. Miguel glanced back. The officer was lying motionless in the snow. "Come on!" Anna shouted. Miguel stumbled inside and slammed the door. He fumbled for something to barricade it with and found a heavy wooden beam. He jammed it against the frame. It wouldn't hold for long, but it might be long enough. "Where now?" Anna asked, her breathing ragged. The building was dark and hollow, smelling of mold and rot. Broken stairs, shattered windows. "Up," Miguel said. "Why?" "To buy time. To think." They started to climb. The steps creaked and groaned. A few splintered under their weight, but they kept going. Thor ranged ahead, checking each floor, each dark corridor. On the third floor, they paused. Anna leaned against the wall, gasping for air. "The officer," she began. "I know," Miguel said softly. Leah was crying silently, tears tracing paths down her dirty cheeks. Miguel pulled her into a hug. "It's going to be okay," he murmured, not knowing if he believed his own words. Down below, they heard the splintering of wood and the shriek of bending metal as their barricade failed. "They're in," Anna said. Miguel looked around. At the end of the hall was a heavy door with a faded sign. "Roof access." "There," he said. They ran. Miguel wrenched at the handle, but it was sealed shut by rust and time. "Help me," he grunted. He and Anna threw their weight against it. The door groaned, but held fast. Footsteps pounded up the stairs, fast and heavy. "They're coming," Leah whispered. Miguel slammed his shoulder into the door again and again. Pain exploded through his body, but he didn't stop. Thor began scratching at the door, pushing with his paws. The dog let out a high-pitched whine and backed away, trembling. The old fear. "Thor, I need you," Miguel said, his voice pleading. The dog looked at him, then at the door, then back again. He took a steadying breath, charged, and slammed his weight against the metal alongside them. The door finally burst open. The roof was a sea of white. The wind whipped across it, sharp and cutting. Miguel looked around. There was no escape. Only the edge and the long drop to the street below. "Now what?" Leah asked. Miguel didn't have an answer. Anna checked her clip. 3 bullets. That's it. I know. Thor stood at the doorway, facing back into the building, his ears flat, his body coiled. The footsteps stopped in the hallway. 3 men appeared in the doorway. It's over, one of them said. For you too, Anna replied, raising her pistol. 3 bullets, 3 of you. I'm not walking away from this, but neither are you. The man smiled and took a step onto the roof. Thor launched himself forward, a blur of fur and fury, and sank his teeth into the man's leg. A scream tore through the wind. The man went down. Another man kicked the dog hard in the ribs. Thor yelped and released his grip, staggering back but not retreating. Anna fired. The second man crumpled, clutching a bloody shoulder. 2 bullets left. The third man charged, moving with terrifying speed. He knocked the gun from Anna's hand and struck her across the face. She fell. Miguel lunged, pushing the man, but he was weaker, older. The man threw him to the ground. "Mr. Miguel!" Leah cried out. The man turned towards her and started to advance. Thor, limping, bleeding, moved to intercept him, placing his body between the man and Leah. "Get out of the way, dog," the man snarled. Thor held his ground, growling. The man kicked. Thor dodged and latched onto his ankle, pulling him off balance. The man fell, but as he went down, he grabbed the dog by the neck, his fingers digging in, choking him. Thor gagged, trying to break free, but the grip was like iron. Miguel scrambled to his feet. Grabbing a loose piece of timber, he brought it down on the man's head. Once, twice. The man went limp, his hand falling away from Thor's neck. He lay still. Thor collapsed, gasping, shaking. Blood trickled from his paw, from his neck, from his muzzle. "Thor!" Leah ran to him, dropping to her knees. The dog tried to get up, but his legs wouldn't hold him. He fell back to the snowy rooftop. Miguel knelt, his hand on the dog's side. He could feel the heart beating, too fast, too erratic. "He needs help," Miguel said. Anna got to her feet, touching her face. There was blood at the corner of her mouth, but she was steady. "Let's get down," she said. Miguel managed to lift Thor. The dog was heavier than he looked, a dead weight in his arms. He carried him down the treacherous stairs, his own body screaming in protest. They reached the ground floor. The front door was open. As they stepped out, the street exploded in a wash of red and blue lights. Patrol cars were screeching to a halt. Officers were descending, weapons drawn. Captain Souza emerged from one of the cars and ran towards them. "Are you all right?" "The dog is hurt," Miguel said, his voice raw. "We need to get him to a vet. Now!" A car pulled up. Miguel carefully placed Thor on the back seat. Leah climbed in beside him. Miguel followed. Anna stayed behind, talking to the captain, holding up the flash drive, explaining everything. The car sped off, siren wailing, cutting a path through the snow-filled streets. Miguel watched Thor. The dog's breathing was shallow, faint. Leah held his paw, tears streaming down her face. "Don't die," she whispered. "Please don't die." Miguel closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he prayed. He prayed that the dog would live, that the little girl wouldn't lose her friend, that he wouldn't fail again. The car raced on. The night wasn't over, but a small, fragile flicker of hope was still alive. The veterinary clinic was dark, but the captain had made a call. 10 minutes later, lights flickered on inside. A woman in scrubs opened the door. "Bring him in," she called. Miguel carried Thor inside and gently laid him on the steel examination table. The vet began to work, her movements fast, efficient, and precise. How long? Miguel asked, his voice tight. I don't know. He's lost a lot of blood. He has broken ribs, possible internal damage. But will he live? The woman paused. She looked from Miguel to Leah. I will do everything I can. Leah gripped Miguel's hand, squeezing it tight. Thor is strong, she said. He'll make it. Miguel nodded, but he wasn't so sure. He had seen too much death, too much loss. You can wait outside, the veterinarian said. This is going to take a while. They left and sat in the hallway. A heavy silence settled between them, broken only by the sound of snow tapping against the window. The captain appeared 30 minutes later. Dried blood stained his uniform, and exhaustion was etched onto his face. How is the dog? He asked. We don't know yet, Miguel said. And you? We're alive. The captain sat down beside them, taking a deep breath. We got 5 men, including the 3 from the roof. They're all in custody. And Hale? Miguel asked. He got away, but he won't get far. We have his name, his photo, the evidence. He has powerful people protecting him. Had. The flash drive changed everything. The names on that list. The arrests have already begun. Miguel looked out the window. The snow was easing, the sky lightening just a little. Is it over? He asked. Almost, the captain said. Silence again. Leah had fallen asleep, her head resting on Miguel's shoulder. He didn't move, not wanting to wake her. The operating room door opened. The veterinarian stepped out, pulling off her gloves. Her expression was weary. Miguel stood up slowly, his heart hammering in his chest. He's stable, she said. Miguel exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Can I see him? He asked. In a little while. He's still sedated. Miguel nodded and sat back down. The girl was still asleep. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight begin to lift, piece by piece. His son wasn't coming back. He would never come back. But today, other lives had been saved. Today, he had made a difference. Maybe that was enough. Maybe this was the beginning of forgiveness. The captain placed a hand on his shoulder. You're a hero, Miguel. I'm not, Miguel said. I just did what had to be done. That's what makes a hero. Miguel didn't answer. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired, relieved, and a little less guilty. Outside, the day was breaking. The snow had stopped, and the sun was touching the rooftops. A new morning, a new chance. 3 days passed. Thor was recovering, still weak, but alive. Leah visited him every day, bringing blankets, toys, and stories. Miguel went too. He would sit beside the dog, speaking softly, telling him about his son, about the guilt, about the forgiveness he was learning to find. Thor would look at him, listening. Sometimes he would rest his snout on Miguel's hand, as if he understood. Anna appeared on the 4th day. She had a bandage on her face, but she was smiling. We got Hale, she said. Where? Miguel asked. Trying to leave the country. Airport. Fake passport. And now? Prison, along with the others. The case is closed. Miguel nodded, feeling something settle in his chest. Justice. It didn't bring his son back, but it meant something. Is Ramos okay? He asked. Yes. He's already been discharged. He wanted to thank you. He doesn't have to. He thinks he does. Leah came in with her grandmother. The elderly woman embraced Miguel. It was a long, strong hug. "Thank you for protecting my granddaughter," she said. "She protected me too," Miguel replied. The grandmother smiled, touching his face. Her eyes were wet. "You are a good man, don't you forget that." Miguel didn't know what to say. He didn't feel good, but maybe he was learning how to be. For the first time in days, Thor stood up, slowly, limping, but on his feet. "Thor!" Leah ran to him, wrapping her arms around his neck. The dog licked her face. The veterinarian came in. "He can go home tomorrow," she said. "Really?" Leah asked, her eyes shining. "Really, but he'll need care, rest, and medication." "I'll take care of him," Leah said. "I promise." Miguel looked at the dog. Thor looked back. Something passed between them. Recognition, respect, gratitude. That night, Miguel couldn't sleep. He lay awake thinking about his son, his life, the future. In the early hours, he got up, put on his coat, and went outside. The street was quiet. The snow had melted a little, forming puddles in the corners. He walked without a destination, just walking, thinking. He stopped in front of the church, small, old, the same one where they had hidden. The door was open. A faint light shone from within. He went inside. The priest was lighting candles. He was an old man with white hair and a stooped back. "Miguel Arantes," the priest said, without turning around. "Father Tomas." "It's been a long time." "It has." "Not since your son's funeral." Miguel didn't reply. He sat on a pew and looked at the altar. "I came to give thanks," he said. "For what?" "For still being alive. For saving lives. For finding a little bit of peace." The priest turned, looked at him, and smiled. "God never abandoned you, Miguel. You were the one who walked away." "I know. And now?" "Now, I'm trying to come back." The priest nodded and sat beside him. They sat in silence, with only the flickering candles and the sound of the wind outside. "Your son would be proud," the priest said. Miguel closed his eyes. He felt something wet on his face. Tears, for the first time in years. "I hope so," he said. They stayed there together, in the quiet, until the sun came up. Thor was discharged the next morning. Leah and her grandmother went to get him. Miguel went along. The dog walked out, limping but steady, determined. They stopped in front of Miguel's house. Leah looked at him. "Would you like to have lunch with us?" she asked. Miguel hesitated. He wasn't used to this. He didn't know if he deserved it. "Come," the grandmother said. "I made feijoada, just like the one I sent that day." Miguel nodded and followed them, Thor at his side, a protector. The grandmother's house was small and warm. It smelled of food and cleaning supplies. Photos on the walls. Life in every corner. They ate together, they talked. They laughed. Miguel hadn't laughed in so long. He had almost forgotten how. After lunch, Leah showed him her drawings. Thor was in them. Miguel was too. Heroes. Saviors. "We're not heroes," Miguel said. "Yes, you are," Leah replied. "You saved me. You saved everyone." Miguel looked at the drawing, at the girl, at the dog. Maybe she was right. Maybe being a hero was simply doing the right thing, even when you were afraid, even when it hurt. The doorbell rang. Miguel opened it. Ana was there, with Ramos and the captain. "May we come in?" Ana asked. "Of course." They came in and sat in the living room. The captain took out an envelope. "We have something for you," he said. He opened it. Inside was a civilian medal of honor and a certificate. "The city wants to thank you. You saved lives. You exposed corruption. You made a difference." Miguel looked at the medal. He didn't want it. He didn't feel he deserved it. "Keep it," he said. "I don't need it." "Miguel," Ana began, "I just did what was right. What my son would have done." Ana looked at him. She understood. She put the medal away. "But there is something else," she said. "Thor." "What about him?" Leah asked, her voice worried. "We checked. He was a K-9 officer, reported missing 2 years ago." "And now?" Leah asked, her voice trembling. "Now he's officially retired, and he can stay with you, if you'll have him." Leah threw her arms around the dog. Thor licked her face. "We'll have him," she said. Miguel touched the dog's head. Thor rested his snout in his hand. "Thank you," Miguel said quietly, "for everything." Ramos stood up and held out his hand. "Thank you for saving us," he said. Miguel shook it firmly. "How are you?" "Alive, thanks to you. Thanks to all of us." Ana hugged Miguel, then Leah, then the grandmother. "If you need anything, just call," she said. "We'll be okay," Miguel replied. And for the first time, he believed it. They left. The house returned to a good, peaceful silence. Leah sat next to Thor. Miguel sat on the other side. The grandmother brought coffee. They sat there, together. Outside, the city was returning to normal. The streets were clean, people were working, life was going on. But something had changed. For Miguel, for Leah, for Thor, they had found a family, a purpose, a peace, and that was worth more than any medal. 2 weeks later, Miguel went back to the hospital. Ana was finishing her reports on her last day in the city. "You're leaving?" Miguel asked. "Transfer. Washington. It's a promotion." Ana smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "I'm going to miss this place," she said. "This cold city. The people. You." Miguel nodded. He understood. "You can always come back." "I will. I promise." They embraced, a long, tight hug between old friends. "Take care of Leah and Thor," Ana said. "Always," Miguel replied. Ana left. Miguel stood in the hallway, looking out the window at the city below, alive, breathing. His son was gone. He would never come back. But Miguel was alive, with a purpose, with a reason to keep going. He walked to the veterinary wing where Thor had stayed. The vet greeted him. "How is he?" she asked. "Good, strong, happy. He was lucky to have you." "We were lucky to have him." Miguel left the hospital and walked to the church. Father Tomas was sweeping the steps. "Miguel," he said, "good to see you." "Good to be here," Miguel replied. They went inside and talked, about everything and nothing, about faith and forgiveness. "Have you found your peace?" the priest asked. "I'm finding it, little by little." That's all any of us can do, one day at a time. Miguel nodded. He looked at the altar, at the crucifix. Thank you, he said, for not giving up on me. God never gives up, the priest answered. We are the ones who give up on him. Miguel left the church. The sun was high, warm despite the cold, melting the snow and revealing the earth beneath. Life returning, always returning. He walked to Leah's house. She was in the yard, playing with Thor. The dog was running, still with a slight limp, but happy, free. Mr. Miguel, she shouted, running to him and giving him a hug. Hey, kid, he said. Thor's better. Look. The dog brought a ball and dropped it at Miguel's feet, looking up expectantly. Miguel picked it up. He threw it. Thor ran, caught it, and brought it back. They did this again and again, laughing, living. The grandmother called from inside, "Lunch is ready!" They went in. They ate together, like the family they had become. Afterward, Miguel stood up. I have to go, he said. Already? Leah asked. I have to work tomorrow, get back to the routine. But you'll be back for dinner? Miguel looked at her grandmother, at Thor. I'll be back, he said. I'll always be back. He left, walking down the street, back to his house. But he wasn't alone anymore. He had people. He had a purpose. He had a life. He stopped in front of his gate and looked up at the sky. Clear, blue, infinite. Thank you, son, he said softly, for showing me the way back. A breeze blew past, gentle and warm, like an embrace. He went inside his house. It was no longer empty. It was full of memories, of hope, of a future. He sat in his armchair, closed his eyes, and smiled. Redemption doesn't erase the pain. It only gives it meaning. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's everything.